All right, Biden's pardons. Let's talk about it. Biden's pardons and also the 51 spies whose security clearances have been terminated by President Donald Trump. This is good news, in my opinion, at least when it comes to the 51 intel officials. When it comes to Biden's pardons, it's a lot more sinister than that. And so I do want to talk about it. I think it's extremely important. And by the way, you hadn't heard the news, John Bolton was also stripped of his security clearance as well as Secret Service protection. I had no idea that John Bolton was given Secret Service protection. I simply did not know that. But anyway, that has gone bye bye along with his Secret Service credentials. And I believe that it is a good thing that Trump strip these guys their special clearances. The bottom line is, and I heard I can't recall whom, but someone in Congress say these guys can't be trusted. I mean, imagine this: you sit here, just think about this. You have 51 spies, intel officials, who who literally lied to the American people, put our national security at risk, put you and I in danger, gave the advantage to our adversaries, right? A strategic advantage to our adversaries, whether that's China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, gave the strategic advantage to them by lying to voters so that a senile old man could win the White House instead of the man that they hated in Donald Trump. Just let that sink in. Those guys deserve. I mean, their pensions should be stripped, as far as I'm concerned. In my mind, they're traitors. I realize that these guys reached the pinnacle of success in their fields at one point in time, but they turned on us. These guys are political and they cannot be trusted. Some intelligence officials who added their name to that document that said that the Hunter Biden laptop was basically Russia collusion. It was CIA director John Brennan, former director of national intelligence James Clapper, former defense secretary Leon Panetta. Here's a column from the Populist Times. Trump is hitting back at 51 former intelligence officials who signed the letter claiming that Hunter Biden's laptop leak was likely a Russian disinformation campaign. Now, they knew that was a lie. Because of their positions, they knew that was a lie. And they knew that Joe Biden was compromised. Still, they were willing to lie for Joe Biden to put him in office, despite the fact, again, that they knew that that would hurt the United States of America. Could you imagine? I mean, just think about how much dirt these our foreign adversaries have on the Bidens and had on the Bidens at the time when these intel officials, 51 of them, were willing to be political and lie. It is a great thing. You know, these people make money going out and giving speeches because of their security clearances. They're worth a lot of money out on the open market because they could talk about things, obviously not things that are secret, so to speak, but they can speak in generalities and they can make a buttload of money because they have a lot of credibility. No more. It's no longer lucrative to be a traitor since Trump has taken away their privilege, their privilege, and suspended their security clearances. I think this is a good thing. The letter that they signed was critical in downplaying Hunter Biden's crimes and Joe Biden's corruption, in my opinion, and it needed to end. All right, the laptop story had been reported accurately but the elite corporate media turned it and twisted it. And there's no doubt in my mind that even despite the rigging that went on in the elections in 2020, Trump would have won that election were it not for this Russia collusions or this Hunter Biden laptop story that was not being told. In exit polling, there was, I believe it was 6 or 7% of swing voters in some of those states said they would have voted for Trump had they known that the Hunter Biden laptop story was true. That may have been enough to swing 2020, again, despite the rigging. All right, Biden, here's a quote from Biden. He said, look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. Now, this is a quote from Biden during the second debate that he had with Donald Trump back in 2020. And basically, these intel officials gave Joe Biden an out. So now Trump has given them an out. They don't have to worry about lying for any campaign or future president, because now their security clearances have been stripped. They've proven that they cannot be trusted with those security clearances. There's no telling. And think about this. I want you to consider this. We know, or at least I believe, right? And I think it's safe to assume, if they knew that what was on this Hunter Biden laptop was, I mean, crimes and all types of dirt on the Bidens that could indict the Bidens, that could compromise the Bidens. If they knew, don't you think China knew? Don't you think China knew what was on that laptop? Russia knew what was on that laptop. Of course they did. Of course they did. And these people were willing to lie anyway. Totally despicable. And they deserve to go. They deserve to go bye-bye. So Biden did some other pardons. All right. So he pardoned his family members as well. He pardons his family members as well. All right, actually not as well. He pardoned his family members, and he also pardoned Fauci. Who else did he pardon? I'm literally forgetting names here, but he pardoned Fauci. Who else did he pardon? I'm forgetting them all of a sudden. I had them written down, and now I can't find them in my notes. But this guy pardoned his. Let's start with his family, because he pardoned the J6 committee. He pardoned Fauci. He pardoned General Milley. Actually, let's talk about them first. Why would you pardon the J6 committee? All right, there's been an uproar about the J6 protesters that have been released. Trump pardoned 1,500 of them. I think 14 of them are subject to commutations, but they are looking into whether or not they should offer them full pardons, and that's yet to be seen. A lot of these cases were entrapment. I mean, these were many people that literally went into the building. They were just protesting. They didn't intend to riot or do anything of the sort, but simply because they were Trump supporters and they entered the Capitol. Many of these people had never committed a crime before in their life, never been arrested, never so much as had a speeding ticket, and many of them were forced to sign documents saying that they were guilty of doing, insurrection and all this kind of stuff. I forget the way that they framed it. Many of them framed it. Otherwise, they would have to spend a buttload of money in trial and for an attorney, and they would have to spend time in jail. So many people copped a plea. Some of them spent time, some of them didn't. But a lot of them did spend some time. I know one, John Nassif, who I've interviewed on this program before, literally walked in the Capitol. He was kind of pushed in because it was shoulder to shoulder as he was walking in. And as a result of walking in with a bunch of other people shoulder to shoulder, he literally bumped into a cop. As soon as and this is all on video, bumped into a cop. He puts his hands up like, bro, I did not mean to do that. You see this big crowd around me. He and the cop chat. He turns around, makes a U-turn, walks out the building, takes some minutes to get out of the building because the crowd is so thick, and he's charged. Spends 6 months in prison. 6 months in prison. What are you going to do when they come to your door and say you're going to go to prison? So you can either cop to this and you can sign this saying that you did this, because the left was interested in a narrative, and that's what they got with J6. That is the reason why the J6 committee deleted the files, deleted text messages that they had. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? We have a video real quick, Gabe. If we could play video clip number 29, I want you to just hear this real quickly.
But look, the people who were pardoned in the morning were pardoned because we were innocent, and Donald Trump was threatening Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson and others with fraudulent political prosecutions. The people who were just pardoned a little while ago were pardoned because they were guilty of us violently assaulting police officers, carrying dangerous weapons inside the Capitol, destroying federal property, and so on. And it was just a mass pardon for all of them without.
Jamie, this guy's a liar, and everybody knows it. Listen, the reason why Biden, and could you give me the clock there, Gabe? The reason why Biden pardoned his family is because they're crooks, and the left knew it. Guys, do not let the left escape blame here. They knew Biden was a crook. Obama knew that Biden was a crook, and he still picked him as his VP nominee. Biden was a crook as a senator. His family, the reason why he pardoned his family, isn't because Trump would go after him. He knew that Trump wouldn't go after his family. It's the reason, frankly, why Biden didn't pardon himself or Jill, because he knows that Trump wouldn't do to him what he did to Trump. But he wanted to pardon his family because he knew that they were corrupt, And if they were taken down, they would probably talk, right? And then tell the truth about him, tell the truth about Jill. You're telling me that that two of his brothers, his sisters, and two of their spouses that were preemptively pardoned, which doesn't even exist. It's unconstitutional. I don't even know how you do that. They weren't guilty. You're telling me the J6 committee wasn't guilty when they deleted information, when they deleted text? Of course not. It's all an admission of guilt. Fascist Fauci, we all know that he's guilty. This guy lied under oath and he was caught. He did fund gain of function research. He funded it. We all know it. These people are liars. The only reason why Biden is issuing pardons to General Milley, to J6, to Fauci, and others is because they're criminals. We all know it. And now Biden admitted it as he walked out of the door. Carl Jackson here for My Pillow. For years, customers have been asking if My Pillow sells cross necklaces like the one Mike Lindell proudly wears every day. Well, they are excited to announce that Mike has partnered with a jeweler right here in the USA to create beautiful sterling silver My Crosses. You can save 30% today using promo code Carl. That's CARL at mypillow.com. Click on the radio podcast square or call 800-858-0263 and be sure to use promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. We don't spell it like the communists. All right, so you can choose from the women's or men's style. The My Cross for women has a more delicate look and is reversible with mother of pearl style translucent white enamel on one side and onyx styled black enamel on the other side. The My Cross for men has a slightly larger cross with onyx-styled black enamel and a slightly longer, thicker chain. This amazing offer won't last long, so order now. Por favor. Just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, or call 800-858-0263. Use promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. All right, guys, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Trump had a fabulous week this week, and obviously we had a fabulous week with Trump being inaugurated. I love the way he was able to slice and dice former President Biden and also Kamala Harris right in front of their faces. But he got to work right away, signing some executive orders and getting things done. I have a list of 46 that he signed, things that he promised right away to do. Now, obviously, we've got to get some of this stuff done legislatively, but President Trump was not messing around. I want to play a couple of video clips for you, and I also want to talk to you about DEI, how he has dismantled DEI in the federal government. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how he has designated the cartels, Mexican cartels, as terrorists. But first, let's go to clip. I believe it's number 17 here, Gabe. This is one of the directives that President Trump signed.
Policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
All right. Now, some of you might not think this is a big deal. This is a huge deal, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously, in order for us to have a functioning society, we have to deal in truth. And also, let me frame it this way: we are a multi-ethnic nation. We're not a multicultural nation. Well, Carl, what does that have to do with transgenderism? Whether there's just two sexes? Here's what the left tries to do. They try to create subcultures in order to divide us. That's what they try to do. That's why Trump is trying to eliminate DEI. DEI is not, obviously, you hire a bunch of incompetent people that are not qualified to fill certain positions most of the time. The left will argue, hey, this is about skin color. This is about racism. No, actually saying that you're an advocate for DEI is about racism, and you're literally calling yourself stupid. We're trying to do the complete opposite thing. What Trump wants is Americans. We are an American family, and we should not be divided based upon DEI. So I'll get into some of the things that he's done, including what Marco Rubio has already done as Secretary of State when it comes to traveling. When you guys find out what has happened, it is going to blow your mind. Also, the FCC has eliminated DEI. Now, there's people like there's a woman in the ATF, a diversity hire, and she's the chief diversity officer. As a matter of fact, she changed her title so that she could hide out in the ATF. But we know basically who she is. The Trump administration knows who she is and how and who other people are, and they are weeding them out. So right now, a lot of these DEI hires within the federal government are on leave, but with pay. But things are going to be changing. It makes no sense that they can't fire these people right off the bat, but things are going to be changing under Trump. He signed a flurry of executive orders. We don't have time to go through them all. But maybe let's just fast forward a little bit through the front of it, Gabe. But Trump is a showman, but he also wanted to. I think this is a good idea. He wanted to show people that he was making promises on the campaign trail. He was keeping those promises, obviously with executive actions and eventually, hopefully, with legislation. Let's go ahead and roll. I believe it's cut 18, Gabe.
You have that other one to sign? Sorry, what's it? You have the other one to sign?
We don't have it over here yet, sir. We'll have it for you back. The first is the rescissions of 78 Biden-era EOs and presidential memoranda.
So this is eliminating all of Biden's executive orders.
Why don't you say what I'm signing?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
So reversing executive orders from Biden.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
Now, that's a good one, obviously. You don't want bureaucrats circumventing your legislators that you voted for. So you put a regulation freeze in. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
It'll stop all those deep staters from trying to create their own laws.
Hiring, accepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
A freeze on all federal hiring.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Sir, the next item, as you
Thank
announced
God.
in your speech,
Thank God we have a man in charge
that
now.
federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Okay. We'll halt it there. I mean, he signed so many executive orders. It's absolutely amazing. Trump is back. I believe America is back, and I'm so happy to hear it. But a couple of things that he did was he designated these Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations. So that gives him the power to be able to send the military down to the border, which he has done. You've actually seen, or you may have read the headlines that in New York City now there's people that are self-deporting, and there's even some illegal aliens in New York City now that are leaving some of the shelters because they know that ICE is coming in. They're taking the federal government serious now when it comes to deportation. But Trump has given the federal government, and he has given ICE, he's given Tom Homan the ability to make sure that as many illegals as possible are apprehended. I believe on the first day they apprehended, if I'm not mistaken, over 300. And obviously they're dealing with a lot of the criminal elements initially, but there will be people around them, casualties, so to speak, other illegals around them that if they're in the country illegally, they'll be deported as well. And I noticed something else that Tom Homan is doing. Tom Homan is making these trips around media, even in corporate establishment media, which I think is a smart play for him and probably for him alone. And the reason why I say that is simply because the more you are adamant that you are going to deport illegal aliens, the more likely it is that many of them will self deport without the federal government having to get involved. And I think that is a good thing. In one order concerning the border, Trump will immediately direct the federal government to resume construction of the border wall. Which was largely ended by Biden. Hat tip to Fox News for this. That order will also end Biden era parole policies, including the use of the CBP1 app, and that has already occurred to parole migrants into the U.S. and the parole processes for Cubans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans and Venezuelans. Also, the order will also order government agencies to reinstate migrant protection protocols known as the Remain in Mexico policy. That has been done. A second order has gone out, will order U.S. troops to be deployed to the U.S. border. That has already happened under U.S. Northern Command, and will, quote, instruct the military to prioritize our own borders and territorial integrity and strategic planning. Also, the Secretary of Defense will be required to provide a unified command plan, and military resources will be integrated with federal law enforcement and intelligence. Didn't have time to get to that today, but that's the reason why they're holding up the Secretary of Defense, eventually Pete Hegseth, and coming out with more hoaxes of abuse allegations, complete hoax. Thirdly, the executive order will designate the international cartels and organizations, including MS-13, Tren de Aragua, as foreign terrorist organizations, and specially designated global terrorists. An FTO designation allows for targeted action against members, including financial penalties. Now, DEI is over. Listen, DEI is nothing more than a tool used by the left to divide us. That's what they're using it for. Ultimately, it used to mean equity in the workplace, maybe back in the day. It doesn't mean that anymore. It's all about division. It's all about using DEI, skin color, gender as a tool in order to divide us, and in order for the left to gain footings over us. This has happened in the State Department. Marco Rubio has ordered additional travel approvals for State Department officials. Why is that important? There's a couple of woke characters inside of the State Department, two females, one white, one black, that were traveling around the country. One was promoting social justice in the name of our State Department, traveling around the world, I should say. The other one was promulgating lesbian LGBTQ an agenda, literally around the world, at least in 22 countries so far. One of the ladies' name is Jessica Stern. She ended up marching along a self-proclaimed transvestite SLUT in Brazil. She celebrated when she saw children at a pride parade she attended in Lithuania. That is coming to an end. From now on, State Department officials, before they travel, they have to tell Marco Rubio why they're traveling. If they're going to do any left-wing woke stuff, it is over. They will not be allowed to do that. We need to be strong on the world stage, not represent this nonsense. Also at the FCC, the DEI, the FCC chairman has shut down all DEI programs after Trump's executive order, ending all DEI programs in the federal government as of Wednesday. Praise God.